How the heck are you guys? I'm Fastidious. Welcome to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to teach you how to beat Gear Raid 3 in 2026.
Fastidious.
Fastidious.
So I've done two videos like this fairly recently where we went over Gear Raid 1 and then Gear Raid 2. You guys really seem to like those. The point of the video is I'm going to show you how to beat this specific content with the current best strategies in the current modern day of Watcher of Realms. So as part of this video, I'm not just going to show you the strategy. I'm not just going to walk you through it. I'm going to give you a complete gearing guide and show you how I do everything from scratch. So we're going to take on 321 today, and you can see it's a very strong account in terms of heroes. I am going to handicap myself a bit. I'm not going to use every super OP unit. I'm not going to use Yovar. For the right side, I'm not going to use Valara. I'm going to try to scale things back, but I do want to show you how really, once you have suitable heroes or good gear, you can beat this. There's really no excuse, and you might be saying, well, I don't have good heroes and I don't have good gear. Farm 319 and you will get good enough gear to beat this very quickly. And you're going to see on this account, the gear is not exactly up to snuff. That's not to say it's bad at all, but it is not blow you away gear. We're going to have to use multiple broken sets, random tier 1 pieces, tier 2 pieces. That's going to be the vibe here, but we're going to get it done. So without further ado, Gear Raid 3, how to beat it in 2026. We're taking on stage 21 today. Big shout out to Neolust, who's letting me use his account. This account is just at a very good level in terms of me being able to beat 321 for him, but it not being so clear and easy to someone with an account like this if you don't know exactly what you're doing. So it's not going to be a super OP takedown or something like that. It should be a very realistic picture of what it looks like to take down 321 for the first time, to defeat Gear Raid 3, if you take the time to figure it out and get the content done. So one final thank you to Neolust. You can see he's got about 3 million BP, 3.5 million BP, level 80. The account is 56 days old, so pretty dang young. And like I said, the heroes are good, as you're going to see. Not mind-blowingly good, but definitely good. We're leaving Yovar and the likes at home. We're going to bring some OP units, some not. But the gear is just fine. You know, he's done a little 121 farming, a little 221 farming. Very, very respectable for a day 56 account, but I'm just, you know, harping on that to say the account's not super OP or anything like that. But we're gonna hunker down and we're gonna get it done. So first things first, before we can gear, before we can head into battle, before I can explain everything, the most important first step is selecting your team. So when it comes to Gear Raid 3, you wanna kick things off with your marksmen, and the vast majority of your best marksmen, not all of them, but a nice chunk of them, are going to come from the Star Piercers. So you can see here, he has some excellent options, though some clear holes. So let's start with the holes. What am I looking for, right? How do you take on this map for Gear Raid 3? Well, you need a lot of damage in the middle, so you can take out the Succubus boss, the Chthonic Enchantress, if you will. So you're going to need some kind of centralized DPS core here that you build out. You're going to need some form of damage, some strategy to take out the enemy units that come on the right side. So the one in the right middle and the one on the top right. You can use this through some burst here pointed to the right. You can use an invisible unit here pointed up that can take care of a lot of stuff. If you got a hot sit, you got an Allura with some good gear. You got Valara, Ruin Hollow now. There are a lot of solutions. Or you can fully neglect this and beef up your Idril and use ult cycling with Idril and have her take care of a lot of this. We're going to do a combination of the two. We're going to do a mix of Idril and Eliza, very free to play friendly. And then we've got to deal with the left side. Tons of units come out of these 3 portals on the top left, so you need a good AoE DPS here. And actually, that is one thing we're missing on this account when it comes to his Star Piercer roster. So you can see behind me, he doesn't have Nyx, he doesn't have Kai, he doesn't have Van Helsing. Kind of a hole in his roster, especially when compared to these crazy single target options he has with Silas and Yuri and, you know, Yovar, so on and so on, Hexborn, you get it. Even Calypso's crazy good for this content. So that's where you look outside of the Star Piercers, and we're trying to get a full picture here. He has Maul, who is more than good enough to take out that left side, right? So that's going to be a non-piercer unit, but undeniably a marksman. Why are marksmen so powerful for this content? You likely already know, but if we go to the map info and click on all these enemies, you'll see all of them have light armor. And light armor is very significant because with light armor, they receive increased damage from your heroes that are dealing piercing damage. So it's going to be 20% more damage. This is very effective. Most marksmen deal piercing damage. You can always just check their damage when you go to their hero screen. It's very, very effective. Also, a lot of marksmen are particularly strong against airborne units, and all these guys are airborne. So this is very much like an anti-air gear raid challenge, very well suited to piercers, very well suited to marksmen. So we know we're bringing Maul. We need him for the left side. Now let's go back to our piercer units and let's see what we've got. Silas, yes, he's A0, but he's going to absolutely shred this stage. An important note about Silas, he's very good for Gear Raid 3 up through 21 regardless, but he truly shines if you have the bond skill with Virna, which we do have here. Essentially, he's going to deal double damage during his ultimate because every time he's going to do soul sniping, which is his best form of damage, and all the damage he does during the ultimate is soul sniping, he does an extra attack. So it's like 2x on the soul sniping. It's very, very good. This is why Silas to this day remains a completely overpowered unit. So we are going to bring him. We do have the bond skill. I do want to point out though, if you don't have it, and let's say you had like an A1 or an A3 Calypso, for example, very likely that Calypso could be better. It depends on your gear and how you approach it. So Silas, very, very good, but he's only like next level God tier once you have the bond skill, at least for this content. We are gonna want another DPS in the middle, but we also know we need to handle the right side. So the best option to this day, at least up through 21, remains Idril, right? Idril has the ability through her ultimate to hit anywhere on the field, right? When she's ulting, she gets this limitless shots effect where she has an unlimited range. She's going to no longer prioritize airborne units, not really relevant for this content, but she's just going to hit stuff everywhere. Typically, you will see her take aim against the enemy units that are getting the closest to your portals. They're the closest to breaching. That's what she's going to prioritize based on her code. But if you use her properly and you take full advantage of this passive, which we'll come back to, she can handle so much of this map. So she's actually going to get the best gear on this account when it comes to DPSing, and that should be pretty dang good. Now that we already know we're bringing Silas and Idril, we want extended range on these Piercer units, and that can be earned by bringing a Piercer Lord. Now, Eliza is officially the most free-to-play option in this game by a mile. If you don't know, after the most recent update at the time of filming this in January 2026, they just added Eliza as a free-to-play login champion on your second day after making a new account. So you have day 1, day 3 you get Mari, in between that on day 2 you're getting Eliza. So the Piercer Lord problem is forever solved. If you're bringing any Piercers for this content, there's no reason not to bring a Piercer Lord. Would Yovar be way better for this? Absolutely, but I want to prove the point that we do not need him. So let's keep going. We're actually a lot further along in this team build than you may realize. Let's look at the units we have. Maul is going to take on this left side over here. We're going to have Silas and Idril in the middle, plus with Idril's limitless shots, she can also aim all over the map, take out some stuff on the right-hand side as well. We also have Eliza, who has invisibility. She gets that for 40 seconds when deployed. That's how her ultimate works. Her ultimate triggers upon deployment, so we can cycle her on and off and take advantage of an invisible state. Because we want to do some cycling with Eliza and some cycling with another unit we're about to come up on, it's very smart to bring Volka. Now, you don't have to do it, but she's extremely free-to-play friendly. You don't even have to deploy her, though you could use her as a central tank if you want. But when you get Volka, and then when you beat Tide level 105, you get a free Soul Stone for her. And that Soul Stone is going to unlock her A1, which gives allies a reduction in their redeployment time of 25%. So it's a lot faster to cycle units. You don't need to do this at all, but personally, I think if you're trying to progress and we're trying to keep this free-to-play friendly, there's no reason not to bring her. Especially because if you don't have super cracked out OP piercers, which this account kind of does, we could bring Yovar as a Lord, deploy Yovar here pointed to the right, then we could put Yuri in the middle with Silas instead of bringing Idril and having her back here. We could use Eliza for the invisibility, and we could get this done really easily. Actually, we could use Valara instead of Eliza, take it to a whole nother level, but because we're choosing not to do that, we're trying to take it down a notch in terms of the heroes. It's very smart to lean heavily on Idril. She's going to be your MVP, and you want to lean heavily on her ultimate. So to lean on it as hard as possible, you want to bring Laurel. So Laurel basically has her own spot. If you're not using someone like Yovar or Sithra on this tile, this wooden plank tile here, and pointing them to the right, you can use this spot to place Laurel and pick her up and give huge amounts of rage to whatever units she's directly touching, and that is going to be Idril. This is not going to be a Laurel guide, but through her talent, the second effect is, additionally, upon her death or retreat, it's both of them. So when you take her off the battlefield or she dies, she's going to provide surrounding allies, all the allies directly adjacent on a tile touching her center tile where she's placed, they're all going to get 50% of their Rage Cat back. So this is pretty huge for Idril, and you'll see it in action. It allows us to cycle very effectively. So we're going to bring Laurel. So all of a sudden, we're kind of done on DPS. We might bring a little extra because we have 4 more slots, but I think we're looking good on DPS. We've got our nice rage support with Laurel. We've got our nice redeployment reduction with A1 or higher Volca. So let's start thinking about additional support or healing we might need. Now, you're going to need some healer unless you've got crazy, crazy damage. You're also going to need some kind of inspiration unless you've got crazy, crazy damage. So right off the bat, let's start thinking about a healer and let's start thinking about an inspiration unit. If we look at inspiration units, there's no Diao Chan here on this account. As you can see, we're sorting by healers. We can go to mages and see, oh boy, he's got a Beelzebub. That's awesome. I would definitely use Beelzebub, but we want to keep this a little simple. Not everyone's going to have Beelzebub at this point, so I am going to go with Dolores because she's so free to play friendly. Let's get her in the mix. And then, like I said, you almost certainly need a healer. So ideally, you want to bring a healer that gives you a little extra oomph. And to me, that healer is going to be Hollow. If you've got Ireless, by all means. If you've got Elwyn, by all means. But everyone probably will have Hollow at this point in their gameplay when they've reached 321. And she has a very big range, so it's really easy to set everything up. And she gives some really reliable rage regen. So it's sufficient healing, it's good range, and it's a nice extra support bonus with that rage regen. So this is all coming together now. Next up, just because you want to get everything moving as quickly as possible, I personally think it is a huge plus if you bring a cost generation unit. So let's go to our fighters here and see whom we've got. My favorite choice by a significant margin, unless you're lucky enough to have Kane or something, who's an ancient exclusive, most people won't have him, it's going to be Dallin. Now, why is Dallin better than Cyrene or Narvi? Frankly, Dallin does not have her cost generation tied to ulting. And because whichever cost regen unit you're bringing is not going to be putting out many basic attacks, because they kind of can't, they're not going to be taking many hits, if any hits at all, they're not going to get much rage very quickly. So if their cost regen is tied to their ultimate, like Narvi or Cyrene, it's a little clunkier. Dallin has her rage regen tied to her passive, which is time-based. So it's just like clockwork. We're getting 15 cost every 25 seconds. That's really reliable, really good. You're gonna want to have this at least level 3 to make it comfy, but frankly, I would max out this Rebel auto passive. Nothing else matters if you can avoid the ult and the basic, by all means, but I'd like to max this out, at least bring it to level 3, and you'll be good to go. We're kind of all done just like that, so let's bring one final unit. If you've got one, there's no reason not to bring some kind of anti-air melee unit. This is a unit you can place right here. They'll tank some of the direct damage coming from whatever units the Chthonic Enchantress is summoning. Those kind of kamikaze units that send in and explode at the near targets. You can have someone there to draw the aggro, and you can have a unit dealing extra damage if you're struggling with that at all. I don't think we'll struggle too much, but it can't hurt to bring someone, so let's see whom we've got. Let's go to the fighters and the defenders. I include defenders because maybe you've got Erlang Shen, who is just so good at this role. We don't have him though, so who are our best options? Numera could be very good, though she deals magic damage. Remember, we're looking for physical or ideally piercing damage, so that's not too strong. If I scroll around, nothing else is really jumping out at me, so we are going to go for Neza. We don't need him at all. If you got him, use him. He's very, very good at this. Him and Erlang Shen are the two best for the middle, in my opinion. So this is going to be our squad, guys. Let's get right into it and let's start gearing. Let's begin with our top DPS priority, and like I told you, that will be Idril. Now you're going to get a good look at the account and the gear we have. Nice amount of Ancients. He's done some farming, but very, very few Tier 2 Ancients and almost no Tier 3 Ancients. We've got one Tier 3 Ancient here with this Cataclysm Amulet, and that is it. We have just enough to put a Soulbound Arcana set together, not enough to get an Ancient Infernal Roar set together, though I'm sure we could make something work, and we probably will on Silas, but you can just see, it's pretty good gear, quite good for where he's at on day 56, but quite weak compared to where you'd want to be if you wanted like OP builds. We're going to be able to get just strong enough builds, but hey, that's all we need. So I'm seeing, just clicking through, yes, we could go for non-ancient pieces and stuff, right? Especially looking around for Silas. Is there anything here? Not too much, right? Let's just go with attack bonus, crit damage, main stat. We got this we could roll up. Pretty terrible substat combination besides the crit rate. This one's solid. This one's pretty good. You know, we can probably mix and match, but it's gonna be hard to put that together. So I'm just gonna let the gear decide what we put on Idril, but just so you know, she functions in basically anything. She kind of works with any set. If we had perfect Infernal Roar gear, I think I would lean that way, but we're much better off with the Soulbound Arcana, so that is what we'll use. Because she's my best DPS, I want to prioritize the quad substats if we can get them. Nothing's coming up here, though we do have this excellent piece on Ezerith. Let's take a quick moment. He'll not find a better piece to ascend for a while. Can we bring that piece to the next level? Always make sure to check this stuff. So let's see, we've got enough materials, and just like that, we have a truly phenomenal bangle for this account. Quad substats, we got that flat attack, very next level for Idril, and we can work backwards from there. We can see if he's got like a Soulbound Arcana already with like at least crit rate and attack speed. Looks like no, so we will rock this attack speed amulet. Now, is that ideal? No, but because we're getting a really strong set, I mean, that crit damage roll stinks, but because we're getting a really strong set bonus, because we already have this great bangle, we can totally make it work. And if you can get good enough pieces, I mean, 26% attack bonus, we can really make it work. Attack speed is very strong for Idril because she's a basic attack-based unit. Like, that's how her damage is scaling and getting qualified. That's why she's so good in Infernal Roar, but also that makes her synergize with attack speed especially well. If you have attack bonus, definitely use that. Heck, if you have crit damage and you're bringing an inspiration unit, definitely use that. But we don't, so we're happy to use this. Here's a huge crit damage roll on this ring that Valara's wearing, and here is actually the piece we're going to use. So this crit damage roll is amazing, but if we can get this piece with even more rage regen, that's really strong. Now we've got a really, really nice build coming together. So just from our right side gear, we've got a nice chunk of attack. We've got 70.5% additional crit damage, so we're already up to 220.5%. We're basically at 2/3 crit rate. Very, very, very fast. Like, what is that? My God, we're already at 490 speed, so we basically have that covered, and we have a little rage regen to boot. So this is looking like an excellent build. Let's start building out the left side gear, and he actually has a phenomenal account when it comes to these quads on Wicked Vengeance. That is very, very lucky. Here's a new piece that's able to get quads now. That's a recent development after the recent update. Let's just take this really strong piece from Nezah and toss it on. We now need to complete the set, and it looks like we're going to struggle to do that. So he's had a lot of luck with the Wicked Vengeance weapons, not too much luck with the breastplates. We can soldier on, though. We need at least attack bonus and crit rate. Here's a piece. Ideally, you want flat attack or attack speed or something. There we go. So attack bonus, crit rate, attack speed. Let's throw that on. And all of a sudden, it's a very, very crazy Idril build, right? 13k attack is plenty. You want at least 12k, I would say. Depends on the set. You could get away with a bit less. If you had a bunch of other support elsewhere, maybe you're using Hot Sit or Ruin Hollow or Valara or Alora on the right side. But here, 13k is really, really good. Very fast. Lightning fast at 640. Let's rock and roll with that. Is that ideal? No. I think 350 to 400 attack speed would be fine. But hey, it doesn't hurt. Nearly at 300% crit damage, 17.5% rage regen. I really like this build. Now for Idril, if you've got it and you've invested in it, which you should, put an Idril's Gaze on her. It doesn't just share her name, it's actually the best artifact for her for a lot of content because it will enable her to shred a lot of defense. When you hit those crits, she's going to get this uptime of ignore defense. It's really strong. Let's see if he's got the mithril for it. He does not. So just something to keep in mind, guys. That's definitely one you're going to want to invest in. Let me see if I can do a quick artifact cleanse and raise a little mithril. All right, there we go. We've maxed out the Idril's Gaze, and you can see as you promote it, that chance to ignore the defense and magic res, the chance for that to trigger off of a crit damage hit is a lot better, and the amount you ignore is a lot higher. So it's a 1 in 4 chance every time, 3-second uptime, and then you're ignoring 40%. So this is really, really strong. Of course, you can make really good use out of a Blight Collars. You can make really good use out of Spirit Siphon, but this is going to work great. And then we free up those for some other units. So that's going to be Idril right here. I will quickly say this is a very important thing if you're going to run a strat like this. She gets a major damage boost on subsequent hits after someone else ults while she was ulting. So every time an ally casts their ultimate, her next attack is going to deal 2x damage. Airborne units are going to take another 70% damage. So let's just keep it simple. A hit that would have dealt 10,000 is now going to deal 27,000. That's pretty freaking major. Yes, it happens regardless of if she's ulting, but you want her ulting because then you get it stacking with all the other boosts. You get it hitting all around the map. It is really, really powerful. So you want to time out ally ult triggers to take full advantage of that passive. Let's quickly gear Silas now. We'll see if we have to go Broken Set or not. If you can, get him in Infernal Roar, or if you have his exclusive, you can get him in Hell's Lament. I don't think that's an option at all here. So let's just see what we're working with at all. Let's look at Infernal Roar. Nothing there, nothing there. There's a cool piece here. Can we make the rest work? Let's just sort by crit rate. Attack speed amulet here. We can make that work. Anything here? We got this kind of sweaty piece, and that's it with a usable main stat. If this crit rate rolls something okay, we can probably make up for everything on the left-hand side. And wow, it rolled brilliantly. So, not a good piece, but happily we'll max out because holy crap, unbelievable god rolls. Some of the best rolls I've ever seen on a normal piece of gear on something that's fairly unusable after we use it right now. But hey, we're going to use it right now. That's crazy. Let's go by attack bonus here. We can snag this piece. Attack speed's already going to be huge because we have the attack speed amulet. And I guess this video is turning into a good lesson on, hey, our attack speed amulet's the best for almost all heroes? No. But can you make them work? Absolutely. Really, really, really slim pickings here. I might actually see what if we ignore crit rate, and I am going to do that. We're going to snag this piece. Yes, now we're not crit capped, so we're going to miss a crit hit 12% of the time, but with everything else we're bringing and with the strength of the build, otherwise, I think we're good enough. If we go to the artifact, Blight Collar is going to be perfect. Extra physical damage, that synergizes really, really nicely. Spirit Siphon would also be great. You don't need anything like an Idril's Gaze on him because he's ignoring defense completely all the time anyway, just from his kit. So that's pretty solid. Next up, we have to go to Maul. This is going to be kind of tricky with Maul because he's getting our third best gear, and we really need to make him work. I did see there was a maxed out Sharpshooter's Crest, though. That's going to be his best in slot for this content. And now probably, I want to prove a point. I think this will work. Let's just go full Broken Set. You know, I want attack bonus, crit rate, crit damage, attack speed. Can we get flat attack in the substats? Let's see. Yeah, we can, right? Let's just do Broken Set and prove how strong Broken Set can be. Let's look at this piece on Yovar. Pretty unusable piece for most content. Invig is not a good DPS set, but those rolls are really good. We're going Broken Set. When you're going Broken Set, if you can grab tier 2 or tier 3 gear when possible, please do, because you'll get a stronger main stat bonus. If you didn't know, tier 1 gear has whatever the main stat bonus is, and then tier 2 and tier 3 gear, their main stat bonus is 10% higher than the tier 1 bonus. So what's 10% of 60? That's gonna be 6. So it goes up from 60% to 66. And that's true with all the main stats when going from tier 1 to tier 2 or 3 gear. No quads here. What about rage regen? All right, nothing too special, so let's just take the highest crit damage. Happily, we'll take that from Valara. I know we've got at least one more quad hiding out here, right? Let's see. We got this Ezerith piece. Looks pretty good to me. With his crit rate boost, that's another 5% crit rate. That's from his Awakenings. So we actually probably can skip crit rate again. Let's see what we've got. It's very slim pickings right now on the Wicked Vengeance. We have this piece right here, which has really nice substats. We're going to max it out because basically we have to use it. And it rolled good enough. I mean, for what we're trying to do, good enough. So just like that, we're at 94.5% crit rate, a nice chunk of attack, even tankiness if we needed it, which we don't. Solid attack interval, and very good crit damage. So Broken Set is really nice. Yes, you lose the set bonus, but you can lean a lot harder into the actual stats. I would try to always avoid Broken Set on the left, just because the bonuses from the left are easier to achieve and they're really game-changing. But on the right side, as you're progressing up through 20, 21, those stages in gear raids, kind of no reason not to if you have to. So that's going to be Maul. Let's keep it easy now and let's just gear our Dolores. We want her attack to the moon, and it's as simple as that, nothing more. So we want attack bonus and flat attack. Let's go to Wings of Grace and compare. This is going to be a slight upgrade. We'll take 40 more. Let's see here. You definitely, if you've got it, you want to run the Dolores exclusive, so we will stick with that. This takes out a ton of the RNG, right? Now, every time when she finishes her ult, she's guaranteed to have a third of her rage back, as opposed to without this, if she's A5 or higher, it's 80%. 80% is really good. 100% is a lot better, because you don't have to sweat the RNG. Let's check here finally. Those are great substats, but not really for her. If we can get flat attack, we want it. There might be no options, though, and there are, so there are no other options, so we'll stick with that. Let's crank the attack to the moon here. We don't care about tankiness. Crazy pieces here, my god. And then here you definitely want attack bonus and flat attack. Let's see. That flat attack's too low. You see, this looks nice with that gold attack bonus roll, but the piece we have now is actually stronger by 210 attack. You can see the comparison right there. So that's gonna be really good for Dolores. If you've got it, run her in a maxed out Golden Scarab. Otherwise, you can totally run her in a maxed out Keen Wisdom. This is an epic artifact, very easy to invest in. Actually, maybe to prove a point, let's toss a Keen Wisdom on her right now, just to show you. It's pretty good to go. We're already very settled in now. You don't have to gear all of these units. Eliza might help us chip away on the right. Nazon might help us chip away in the middle, but I'm going to gear them super fast because it doesn't matter too much. We can even try a quick equip and see what it looks like. Close to crit capped, over 300% crit damage, attack's a little low, but we got the Ageless Wrath bonus. Honestly, this will function for how we want to use her. Let's just rock with it. Let's not overthink it. Give her the Spirit Siphon, because why not? That works. Now let's take a little peek at Nazah. We might not even deploy him, so it doesn't matter too much. That is great, you know? I don't really recommend quick equip, but in content like this, where we're already so dialed in with our other units, we don't need to sweat the small stuff. You know, if the quick equip comes out with something with fairly high attack, reasonable crit damage, and close to crit cap, good attack speed, it works, right? I wouldn't suggest it for most content, but for DPS, we're going to be carried by 3 units. It's going to be Idril, it's going to be Maul, it's going to be Silas. Everything else is gravy. We've got a great build on our Dolores. We are going to cook. Volca doesn't need any gear. Dallin doesn't actually need any gear. Let's take all this off just to prove a point. We're just leaning on this passive, that's it. You could run her if you want to deal with some potential extra bonuses, but also some RNG. You could run her in a lucky coin. I'm not going to do that just because I don't want to have to deal with potential RNG on the auto. Yes, that is somewhat controlled now, but I also just want to prove a point. So we're going to run her totally nude, try to make sure that the Rebel auto passive is maxed out. Laurel will come to at the very end. Volca doesn't need anything hollow. We want just a good, speedy build. That's going to lead to better heals. That's going to lead to a lot more rage generation. We already have this max out Golden Scarab. The other great option would be a Euphoric Orb for a little attack speed boost. I don't think we need that though, because our DPS are going to do a good enough job already. For her, let's keep it simple. We want attack bonus as the main stat, and we want a big attack speed roll. I'm going to go for Broken Set here again, grabbing tier 2 and tier 3 gear when I can. Same story here. I just want attack bonus and speed. This is pretty nice with Whirlwinds. Do we have a Whirlwind with some attack speed? We don't. So let's just go for like attack bonus and heal effect maybe on Whirlwind. I'm not seeing it. Let's search around. Is there something hiding out here? That's fine. Attack bonus, whatever. Kind of a DPS piece, but we'll make it work. You can see I'm rocking like no extra heal effect. You just don't even really need it at this level. We're getting enough from Pantheon. We don't have to worry too much about super strong heals. The very high attack build is going to help with that. And then I just want her really fast. So that's going to be our hollow. And we are good to go. For Laurel, it doesn't really matter because you're taking her on and off. But if you've got any morale gear at all, nowadays, that's going to be a really cool way to make good use of her being on the floor at all. So let's just see. Does he have any morale gear on this account? He has plenty. So if you have it, take some HP bonus, right? Just get her tanky in case she accidentally takes a hit because you mess up your timings. We don't, but it's okay. He has this maxed out flat HP piece. I don't know why he maxed that out, but we'll make it work. We can max these out. Not that it matters too much. But yeah, any extra tankiness we want. And then for the left side, I mean, at this point, run her tanky. If you can get a little attack speed, it couldn't hurt if you want to cycle her at the end, but that's not something you need to do. What do we got here? We got a little Astral Guardian. Toss that on. A little more Astral Guardian. Let's max that out. And bada bing, bada boom, we are ready for battle. If you have any follow-up specific gearing questions, let me know. You can see I didn't key in too much on some of these artifacts at the end. They're not so vital to what we're trying to do. We kind of have already accomplished that. I will say for Laurel, if you're trying to get an extra rage boost at the end, Nightmare Samsara is going to be really nice. We can take a quick peek at Nazok. I did check it, but the Hate's Contagion is going to be plenty extra AoE damage. He's going to deal a lot of that, and we are good to go. So here we go, guys. Thank you for watching so much so far. I know I've been very in the weeds, but I want to make this as comprehensive and complete as possible. So let's head into battle and let's have some fun. Remember, we've got one Wings of Grace unit. That's going to be our Diao Chan. So let's be very strategic about that. First things first, as soon as we enter battle, let's place Dallin. We want Dallin placed so she can start getting those 25 seconds tick down so we can get to our cost boost. And you'll see that over here when it happens. Now I'm going to use Idril, and I'm going to place her right here pointed up. If you have an A1 Diao Chan, you could place Diao Chan here and then move Idril up a tile, because then Diao Chan would still be hitting Silas or your other DPS here. But because we don't have that, we need Dolores to do that kind of diagonal, so Dolores has to go here. Just a quick little note for you Diao Chan enjoyers. Definitely that's the better way to do it. Right now, she's not able to hit anything. She can't build rage as quickly. She can't put out as much damage. Not a huge problem, though. When we hit 5 costs, we can place Dolores. You can see she's got this Wings of Grace, plus 12%. Invig would work great, too. If you don't have either, Broken Set also works. Just crank that attack to the moon. But she does give that boost to Idril, and we're looking pretty good. We're waiting, we're waiting. We're about to get our trigger. We're coming up on 25 seconds. I'll throw it on 1x, and there you go. 15 more cost. That allows us to place Silas, and it allows us to place Laurel. It might feel like a waste, but we're already going to pick up Laurel. We're only going to gain like 15% rage for both of these guys, but it just lets us start the whole cycle earlier. Let me pause it here really quickly. You can see for Laurel, we just retreated her only 45 seconds on the redeployment timer countdown. That's because we're bringing Volca. So even though Volca's not going to touch the field, when it comes to moving Laurel on and off or Eliza on and off, anything like that you want to do, very clutch. If you're not cycling units, for sure, just leave Volca at home, but we are. So there we go. We can ult with Idril, do Idril first, because then when we ult with Dolores, we're going to get a boost, right? There's her boosted shot. Boom, boom, a little extra. Very nice. Now back to 56k. As soon as we can, we're going to ult with Silas. And actually, something you can do now with these controls, we can put Silas on autocast, because I just kind of want him to ult every time right away. If you're worried about the boss damage, you could try to save it, and have him ult just when the boss comes out, but I think most people at this level couldn't pull that off, so we're not going to worry about that. Now we're going to place Hollow right here, in case someone came through, and so we can get the rage cycle going quicker. Take that unit out, and now we're going to put some direct damage out on the boss, and you can see how quickly Silas can shred this. I'm going to wait for a hit there, and now I'm going to place Maul. She always targets up through stage 21 the last placed unit, so that's pretty significant. Let's also go to our toggle here and make sure everyone's off besides Silas. I'm going to wait. Now we're going to place Nezah, and now Nezah is my last place unit, and that's very important because she'll keep targeting him. He's a little tankier because he's a fighter. You could use Nezah, you could use an actual tank, you could use anyone you want here for this role, and then Hollow's going to keep him healed up. For Nezah, we're also going to put him on auto ult, so I'll do that. You don't need to do these auto ults, by the way. I just like to do it. Let's get an ult there with Dolores. Let's get a placement with Laurel, pick her up. And now already Idril's almost ready to go. You saw that huge spike in her rage bar. Let's go there. Now we're going to hold off on Eliza for a moment. As soon as this guy comes into range, we'll place. And you'll see Idril's going to do most of it, but it can't hurt to get a little help from Eliza. As soon as these guys come out, we can ult with Maul. And you can see he can take this out like it's nothing. Full broken set like it is nothing. Let's toss this back on 1x. We're about to get a kill now, and we do get it. So as soon as you get that kill, and as soon as the succubus summons, the whatever enchantress summons are done, now we're done with Silas and Nezah. So pick them up. We don't need them anymore. We can save them for later in case we need a little extra burst. So far, so good. I'm sitting on this Dolores ult because I want to wait to juice up right when these guys come out. Boom, boom. And now Idril comes with a little assist for these guys. Let's see if Eliza can take out the rest. You can see it's not the greatest build on her, but that's what Laurel's for. So we're going to go there with Laurel, pick her up. Looking pretty good. Eliza's doing a solid job. We just need Idril to come back around any second now. Let's ult with Hollow to make it a little faster. Now we go Idril, and then we go with Dolores. You look at that extra burst. Excellent. Now if we need a little additional support, we can place Nezah there, pointed to the side. We won't need it, but just something you might need, so let's put that there. As soon as we kill that last guy to come out from the right middle, we can take our other marksman, in this case Silas, and place him down. That might just speed up the run a bit. As soon as all of these guys come down, we can ult with Maul. Start chipping away there. We can also place Eliza back here, because why not? And here, Silas is almost ready to ult. We got the auto ult in Silas still, so he's going to go there, and we can just chip away at all of this. I'm going to pick up Dallin now, because we don't need her. By the way, you could have put Dallin in a morale set too, if that works better. Let's pick up Laurel. Now, Idril and Dolores are ready to go. Ult and ult. We can trigger some other ults for extra boosts, and just like that, could have ulted with Maul, but we are done. And there you have it. Like, a lot of broken set, a pretty good build on Idril, a solid build on Silas, and the rest is history, you know? So day 56 account, we're getting it done like it's nothing. If you select your team properly, if you gear properly, I promise you can get this done. I've beaten Gear Aid 3 with so many different combinations of heroes and gearings, and timings and whatever. It's a lot easier than you think once you learn the mechanics of the stage. I know I may have made it look easy here. If you have follow-up questions, let me know. Watch some of my other guides. I have a million guides on this. I promise you can take this down. It just takes a couple good marksmen, or really just Idril, Laurel, and a bunch of good gear. So there you have it. Thank you so much for watching. I have been Fastidious. If you appreciate this guide or any of the guides like this, these all take a ton more work. There's a lot more behind the scenes, a lot more prep, and the actual film time is way longer than you'd realize. So if you appreciate that, subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up. Thank you to Neolust for lending his account. I've been Fastidious. Share it with your mother, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.
Fastidious.